and dharma means duty. So for all of humankind, the supreme duty, he says, Yato Bhaktir Aho Sujay. That our highest duty is to serve with love and devotion Ahosaja. Now, Ahosaja is the name of Krishna. That means he's beyond the range of the limited mind and senses. And then he qualifies the statement on how that's supposed to be done. Jai Shri Radha Maharaj Ki Jai. He qualifies his statement and he explains how this bhakti is supposed to be executed. And he says, Ahaituki apratiyata dinatmana suprasidati. This ahaituki, it means without any strings attached. Meaning we're not loving God because he's God and we wish to have something from him. But we're loving God on the basis of love. We know him as a person, and because he's such a wonderful person, we love him with all of our heart. Our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught devotees, this is how we're supposed to perform bhakti. He said, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim Kapitam Rajagadish Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Prajat Bhaktir Ahaitikitaya. He said, Lord, I don't want wealth. He said, Lord, I don't want followers. He said, Lord, I don't want beautiful women. He said, Lord, I don't want to hear the glorious poetry that describes the infinite glories of this creation that you have made. And he took it a step further. He said, Lord, I don't even want salvation from this world. But then he said, all I want is your constant, devotional, loving service, birth after birth after birth. So in the Sutta Goswami, he said, Ahaituki. We love God not because we want something. We love God because he's God. We know that he's such a lovely person. He's the greatest. He's the finest. He's the kindest. He's the most loving and compassionate. For example, I just met with one of my dear friends, Fatima, and she is from Iran. And I've known her for many years, but I haven't seen her for many years. And we just had a pleasant reunion while Yogi was in here singing for Arti. And I don't know if any of you all know, but before the Iranian Revolution, ISKCON was present in Iran. We had the temple in Tehran, we had Govinda's restaurant, and our Srila Prabhupada visited there. I was telling Premadan this today, he said, I never knew that. There's a very sweet recording I heard of Srila Prabhupada while he was in Tehran. And he was having one of his room darshans with people in the evening, and then he heard the call to prayer from the mosque. And so Srila Prabhupada inquired from one of his Iranian disciples, he said, what are they saying? And the disciple replied, Srila Prabhupada is saying that God is great. And Prabhupada said, oh, that's so wonderful. They're saying that. He said, but if a man will know through scientific study and hearing from the words of acharyas person will just willingly throw his life at the feet of God. That's how beautiful Krishna is. That's how beautiful Allah is. He's the most beautiful person. He's the most wonderful person. So he says, Ahai we do it without strings attached. We don't do it with motivation. And then he says, Apratiyata, unbroken. Like here we sit, we have kirtan for 6 hours, 12 hours. Sometimes when myself and these boys, kirtan Premi and Iman, and all of us get together, sometimes we just sit and do kirtan for like, 10 or 12 hours at a stretch together, But then we have to stop. We're limited. We live in these bodies and have so many limitations. But pure devotion to God means that we love Him eternally, without any cessation, without any breakage. So he gives the whole formula, and then at the end he presents the fruit. Like these great acharyas, they'll always give some prescription, but in the end they tell us what the fall or what the fruit will be. And he says, Inatma suprasidati. He says, if you will love God in this way, your soul will become thrilled beyond anything that you could ever conceive of. That's how wonderful is the process of bhakti. I was thinking about this morning, and I wrote a little thing on Facebook. I don't write on Facebook so much anymore because that whole spirit is so full of nonsense these days. You write something and everybody starts hating on it. But I wrote this comment about how in 1989 I met the ageless saint, Vigraha Baba. Have any Indians ever heard of Vigraha Baba? This gentleman is. He's also known as the Orya Baba. He was from a town in Uttar Pradesh, in northern India, called Deoria. No one knows how old he was, but he was at least from between 250 and 350 years old. Now that may sound like phantasmagoria for you, but I've met people who, like 7, 8 generations of their family, they met him as their spiritual master. And it was at the, that's okay. That's okay. No. It was at the Mahakumbh Mela in 1989 in Prayag. You know what Kumbh Mela is? Everybody? Like this year they had Kumbh Mela. It's the biggest spiritual gathering on earth. And millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of faithful people come together to this one spot where there's the confluence of the Ganga, the Jamuna, and the Saraswati. And according to astrological calculations, when nectar drops from heaven into the river at that point, everybody takes their bath. So in '89, I was taking kirtan parties with hundreds of devotees to different places in Kumbh Mela. And we decided one day, let us go to the Vigraha Baba's camp and take his blessings. So when we got there, he lived in a straw hut on bamboo sticks. He didn't live on the earth. And there must have been 3,000 or 4,000 people just patiently waiting on the sand where they brought Baba to come out and give some blessings. But when he heard our Harinam Kirtan coming in, immediately he crawled out of his hut, and his eyes were like very big. And then one of his devotees tied a microphone to the end of a bamboo stick and held it up to Baba to speak. And he looked at his people and he said, "Why are you all following me?" He said, "I'm a yogi." He said, "Yoga is not the process for this age." He said, "The process for this age is Ram Nam and Krishna Nam." When he said that, my heart just went, "Oh." And then he pointed and he said, "Do not follow me, I'm a yogi." And he pointed to our whole kirtan team, big party, maybe 200 devotees. He said, "They're all the disciples and followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." And he said, "Also, they're the followers of one great Mahajan named Bhaktivedanta Swami." And I was just like, oh my God. He said, "Follow them. Chant Ram Nam, chant Krishna Nam. Your heart will expand. Your heart will feel joy that you could never conceive of. You will experience Ananda. There's this, everybody knows Ananda, but here's Ananda Murti. He's the form of Ananda. Ananda Murti Das. Krishna is Ananda Murti. Krishna's form is made up of Satchidananda, eternity, knowledge, and ecstasy. That's what his body is made of. Our bodies are made of nasty things. His body is made out of pure ecstasy, pure Ananda. He said, "Follow them. Love Krishna with devotion. You will experience the highest ecstasy in life." That's why I posted that on Facebook. And then just to, agitate everybody who likes to hate whenever you post something on Facebook, I added a musical clip of one great Pakistani singer whose name is Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. Does anybody know Nusrat Fateh? Yes. If you heard Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he's one of the greatest voices that ever emerged from the Asian subcontinent. And I posted a Qawwali bhajan of him singing Bolo Ram Ram. He's singing the name of Ram. And that was written by Guru Nanak Ji. They're all pointing us in the same direction. Love Krishna, love God with a pure heart. So naturally, to become pure, we have this process of bhakti that we have to follow. The yoga, any form of yoga, whether it's, Hatha yoga, or Jnana yoga, or Astanga yoga, or Karma yoga, or Bhakti yoga, purify the consciousness of thinking that we're material. Because all of us think that we're products of matter. Everybody here is thinking, I'm a man, I'm a woman. Everybody here is thinking, I'm Canadian, I'm American. Everybody here is thinking, I'm Bengali, I'm Punjabi, I'm Malayali. Everybody is having some material conception of life. People have forgotten that they are actually spiritual souls that are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna tells us that in the Gita. He says, Mame Vamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhukta Sanatana Marakshastan Indriyani Prakriti Karshati. He says, all the jivas, meaning the living beings, who live in this world, meaning human species, birds, trees, cats, dogs, cows, fish, everything that has life has a spark within it, which is the Atma, the soul, which is a part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is that Govinda? Oh my God. My obeisances to you. My obeisances to you. He is such a great devotee, our Govinda. So he says, everybody are my ansha. Everybody is my part and parcel. If God is Satchidananda and you're a part of God, that means you're supposed to be Satchidananda, right? At the present moment, are you Satchidananda? Now you're worrying about paying the bills at the end of the month. You're worried about your job. If you've got a wife, you're worried about your wife. And if you don't have a wife, you're worried about getting a wife. In this world, none of us are experiencing this ananda. We're meant to experience ananda, but we're not. Because we identify with the mind. We identify with the gross material body. Srila Prabhupada called it skin disease. We are all suffering from skin disease because we think that we are this skin, but we're not this skin. And Lord Krishna, he says it so nicely. He says, Manakshastan Indriyani. One always suffers by the mind and the six senses. Prakriti-stani karshati. He says, when you live in Prakritistan, now we know Hindustan, we know Pakistan, I know Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan. This whole world is called Prakritistan. We're living in the material world, and Karshati, we only suffer down here. The only relief is loving devotion to God. So therefore, we follow the prescription of Lord Krishna himself. We follow the prescription of our acharyas. And they tell us, please perform this bhakti. In the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna discuss? He discusses Sankhya. He discusses analysis. He tells Arjuna, okay, listen to me. Arjuna, you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're the soul. You start from understanding what you are and what you're not. You're not this, you're not this, you're not this, but you're the soul. And then he tells Arjuna, you have to purify the soul. You have to purify your consciousness. And he gives different schools of yoga. But at the end of the 6th chapter of the Gita, Krishna says, my opinion, this is always nice in the Gita when Krishna says, my opinion. God's saying, this is my opinion. He states that the greatest yogi is one who always keeps his mind absorbed in me and love. That yogi always keeps me in his heart, and I always keep that yogi in my heart. That's called love. And then the middle 6 chapters of the Gita, he begins by saying, his very first words in the middle 6 chapters of the Gita are Maya Shakta Manaha Partha. This is Partha, Arjuna, attach your mind to me. This is what yoga is meant for. Attaching our mind to Krishna. Instead of being attached to all of these ephemeral things of this world, all of these things that are going to go away very, very quickly, he says, please just attach your mind to me. Yoga yunjan varashraya. Perform yoga, taking full shelter of me. Asamsayam samagarani mam. Never have a doubt that there's anything greater than loving devotion to me. And then he's going to do the process. He says, Yata Ganyasasi, touch me. If you want to do that, you always have to hear about me. You always have to hear my name. You always have to hear my words that I've spoken in Bhagavad Gita. You always have to hear about the lives of my devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam that overcome so many difficulties and then surrender their lives to the feet of God. You have to hear about my playful activities in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Absorb your mind in Krishna, Krishna consciousness. That is our real dharma. That is our real business in life. As our Srila Prabhupada would say, the human form of life is such a great benediction. Out of so many species of life, this is a great benediction, because in this life we're blessed with intelligence. And that intelligence gives you the faculty of discrimination. So you can understand what is for my welfare, what is against my welfare. So bhakti is a great science in just offering one's mind, offering one's words, offering one's body, and this loving service of God with no strings attached. And how is it that Krishna ends his entire instruction of the Bhagavad Gita? After everything is said and done, just before everything is said and done, before the time runs out, he turns to Arjuna and he says, Manmana avamad bhakto majyaji mam namaskuru. Mam vaisyasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. He says, Arjuna, Manmana bhava. Always think of me with love. Just like I know my Habibi Premadan from Lebanon. He and Tulsi Bhav. They're such loving people and such loving parents, and always not only thinking of their children, they're always thinking of everybody with love. Krishna says, Arjuna, please, always just think of me. Absorb your mind in thinking of me with love. Mad Bhakta, please become my devotee. Mam Jaji, perform some little puja. Mam namaskuru. Please bow down, give your obeisances. And then again he gives the fruit. And the fruit is this. Mam ivaisasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. He says, Arjuna, if you do these four things, he tells Nanda Tanuja, you just do these four things. Krishna says, think of me always with love. Become my devotee. Give me some little puja. Bow down to me. Krishna says, Mam ivaisasi satyante pratijani. He says, with all of the satya, all the sincerity, all the truthfulness in my heart, God is telling us this. With all of the sincerity of my heart, I make you a promise. That's quite nice, isn't it? And God is speaking to all of us. He's saying, what is your name? He's saying, Akashji. He says, Pratijani Pratigna. I promise you something. He says, Pratijani Priyosime. He says, I will bring you to me. Why? Priyosime. Because just by doing these four things, you will become Krishna's Priya. Priya means lover. You become a lover of God. God has everything. Is there anything that God doesn't have? All the air, all the sun, all the water, all the power, all the knowledge. It's all God's. Does He want that from us? No. What does He want from us? He wants love. That's all He wants. Why? Because He's a person, just like you, Akashji, just like Nanda Tanuja, just like Govinda, just like Mother Mekya, just like our Tulsi Bhav. Krishna is a person. And as people, what do we want the most? Strip everything away. What do you want the most? You want love. That's all you want. And Krishna, all He wants is love. And if we give our love to Krishna, then He drowns us in His love. And then His final appeal to Arjuna. He says, please, Arjuna, now you've heard everything. My last request is this. All of these ephemeral duties of this world that you've been doing since immemorial time, so many different lifetimes. He says, please, just turn your back and walk away from that and just come take a loving shelter of my lotus feet. Can you imagine God is making that appeal to us? He's saying, Mam ekam sharanam. What does sharan mean, Akashji? Sharan. Shelter. He's saying, just come to the shelter of my feet. And then He tells them what the fruit will be. They always do this. They give the instruction, they give the fruit. And the fruit is, He says, Sarvadharma parijagya, mamekam sharanam praja, aham tam sarvapapebhyo, mokshayishami masuchaha. Krishna says, aham. Aham means I. Krishna says, if you just take shelter of my feet in love, then he says, aham, I will take whatever sin that may be in your account. I will take that, don't worry. Chintamaka. I will take that and I will give you moksha. Now moksha is such a big topic, but for the Vaishnava, moksha means pure, loving, devotional bhakti to God. That's it. Krishna says, if you have any defects, I will take that and I will just give you pure love. And how does he conclude? Ma Suchaha. What does Ma Suchaha mean? Somebody pundits? Ma Suchaha. Ma Suchaha means do not fear. Everybody thinks, if I give everything to God, what will be left for me? If I give my life in loving devotion to God, what do I get from it? I'm fearful. If I surrender to Guruji, Guruji will say, oh, now give me the passcodes to your bank account. Oh, you're driving a nice model BMW, give me the keys to your car. Krishna says, don't fear. Never fear, because you will attain my loving service, you will attain my loving association. Together we will love in the spiritual world forever. This is all Krishna is asking us for, just love. So dear devotees, how will we do that? Krishna said that 5,000 years ago. People ignored it. Krishna came again 500 years ago as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And whereas that Krishna said, Sarvadhamam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, the same Krishna, very same Krishna, not a part of Krishna, not an incarnation of Krishna, not an angsha of Krishna, the self-same Krishna. When he came in Kali Yuga, he said, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Katyalanyata. Just chant these holy names. These names and everything that happens in the spiritual world are non-different. If you chant these names, your heart will be purified. If you chant these names, your consciousness will change in such a dynamic way that you'll be able to tolerate the unending suffering of this world. And if you chant these names, your heart will open and you will attain love. So this is what Mahaprabhu, this is what Krishna is asking us in this age. The perfection of Bhakti Yoga, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. And that perfection will come. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote, E neki o shodi mai nashi para lage, Harinam Mahamantra la tumi mage. He said, he's quoting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I have brought the medicine, the only medicine, E neki o shodi maya, to conquer Maya. That's Harinam Sankirtan. Please just take Harinam, take Harinam, take Harinam. And once I heard my very wonderful god brother, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. He gave a class, somebody asked the question, Maharaj, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, take the medicine of Harinam. Everything will change, my heart will change. But I've been chanting, and I don't see heart changing so rapidly. What to do? Jayadvaita Swami went to the person, he said, take more medicine. And that's what we're doing this weekend in Montreal. We're taking big doses of medicine. Last night, these boys kept everything going until 12 o'clock. And it was wonderful. You were there, right? People were dancing with wild and abandon in this temple room last night at 12 o'clock. And it could have gone on. Please, everybody, chant Krishna's name. Read the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Always absorb your mind in hearing the activities of Krishna that are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Since we can't see Krishna, to love him directly now, we can see the devotees of Krishna, love Krishna's devotees more and more and more. Love and serve, love and serve, love and serve. And it will work. Okay, I went over the schedule. I have to stop. It's been an honor being with you. I thank you so much. Hare Krishna.